So I recently watched a video on the longest study ever done on what makes people happy. And while physical health and financial stability were important, it was relationships that were really ultimately the thing that played the biggest role in people's happiness.
Now, 85 years is a long time to run a study, so it has been passed down from one generation of researchers to the next. It's currently run by its fourth director, Robert Waldinger. What is the claim to fame then of the study?
You know, the claim to fame is that it is, as far as we know, the longest study of human development that's ever been done, the longest study of any depth. These are studies that take deep dives into people's lives and their mental and physical health.
The study actually began as two separate studies by two groups of Harvard researchers that didn't know about each other. The first group followed 268 young men from Harvard to find out how they would develop into early adulthood.
So, of course, if you want to study normal young adult development, you study all white guys from Harvard, right? You know, it's one of those limitations.
The second group studied 456 boys from middle school onwards from Boston's poorest and most disadvantaged families.
So there were these two studies, both meant to be studies of what goes right in development and how we predict who does well as they grow up.
Eventually, the two studies merged into one, the Harvard Study of Adult Development. At the start of the study, the participants were interviewed and received extensive physical examinations. And as they grew, they entered all walks of life. Some of them became bricklayers and doctors and factory workers and lawyers, and one even became president of the United States. Every 2 years, researchers asked them questions about their lives, like, if you could stop working without loss of income, would you? What would you do instead? How often do you feel isolated from others? True or false, life has more pain than pleasure. And other questions about their marriage, career, friendships, and their physical and mental health.
So what do 85 years of research across entire human lives teach us about a healthy and happy life?
Two huge takeaways, really. One is no surprise. It's that if you take care of your physical health, it has huge benefits for not just for your longevity, but for how long you stay healthy. And then the big surprising finding is relationships not just keeping us happier, but keeping us healthier and helping us live longer.
It's not just the Harvard study. There's now a whole list of studies that show the importance of relationships to human happiness and health. They teach us three main lessons.
The first is that relationships are great for our health. In 2010, researchers looked across 148 studies with a total of more than 300,000 participants. They found that on average, people with stronger social connections had a 50% increased likelihood of survival for any given year. Being married, in particular, has a large impact on how long people live.
There's one study, I think it's pretty well respected, that suggests that married men live 12 years longer on average than unmarried men, and married women live 7 years longer on average than unmarried women. Marriage is always a better deal for men on all parameters than it is for women. And it's not because you have a marriage license, right? It's because people living together in an intimate partnership tend to keep each other healthier. You have somebody who's kind of watching, looking out for you. It's a very real, concrete effect.
If feeling well connected to others makes us happier, healthier, and extends our lives, then what happens if we feel disconnected?
There's a researcher, Julianne Holt-Lunstad, out of the University of Utah, who did a meta-analysis of a whole slew of studies of the physical effects of loneliness. And her calculation was that being lonely is as dangerous to your health as smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day, or as dangerous as being obese. When we'd followed all the original people out to their 80s, we said, okay, what data actually are the best predictors at age 50 of who's going to be happy and healthy at age 80, as opposed to sick or dead? And we thought we were going to be looking at blood pressure and cholesterol level at age 50 as the strongest predictors. It was their relationships. It was particularly their satisfaction with their marital relationships that was the strongest predictor.
Just like many young people today, many participants from the Harvard study also believed that money and achievement were what they should go after to have a good life. But what this study and plenty of others show is that the people who were the happiest were those that leaned into their relationships with their partner, friends, family, and community. And when they were in their 80s, the researchers asked them, "What are you most proud of, and what is your biggest regret?"
Many people said that they were proudest of something to do with their relationships. So it could be, I was a good boss, I was a good parent, I was a good friend, I was a good mentor. Nobody said, I made a fortune, right? Nobody even said, I won the Nobel Prize, which a few people did. It wasn't about those badges of achievement, right? That we think of as, that's what we got to get to feel like we've had a meaningful life. Everybody looking back mentioned their relationships. The biggest regret was, particularly among the men, because this was the World War II generation, they said, I wish I hadn't spent so much time at work. I wish I had spent more time with the people I care about.
So I think it's no surprise that relationships are the biggest key to human happiness. We all know that our relationships with others are the things that ultimately are what matter most to us. But no one really talks about what relationships are. So I want to put forth my conceptualization that I believe helps us understand what a relationship actually is. And simply put, relationships are the role that we play with one another in a game. This is what I mean. I'm not talking about a game like baseball or chess. I'm talking about a game in a different way. By game, I simply mean any coordinated human social interaction in pursuit of a common goal. So, fatherhood is a role that I play in a game in relationship to my children. General manager is a role that I play in relationship to my coworkers. Friend is a role that I play in a game of friendship with people that I am close to. Child of God is a role that I play in a relationship to the cosmic drama that I am involved in with everyone else and my Father in heaven. Now, take away all of those games, and what do you have? A relationship is merely how two different things relate to one another. In baseball, the catcher relates to the pitcher in a different way than the pitcher relates to the center fielder or to the first baseman. But it is in the dynamic of these different relationships that the pitcher's role, identity, purpose, and indeed the game itself can exist and be enjoyed. So we talk about a lack of connection in our world. We talk about it all the time. We talk about how this lack of connection fuels addictions and depression and all sorts of terrible issues that frankly can be indistinguishable from hell. Maybe hell is not a place of fire and brimstone. Maybe it's a place of broken relationships. And by broken relationships, I mean a place where you don't have a game to play or people to play it with. Individualism in a political context can be wonderful and is certainly an important thing, but free individuals are meant to be social, and to be social is to play games. If you want to be happy, play games. Play them with others. Play games that really matter too. Play games that are sustainable and create the good and the beautiful. Want your kids to be happy? Raise them to play games and to play them well. Help them to learn to socially interact with others and to find other kids who share similar interests and thus want to play the same kind of games. Friendships can very easily be understood as teammate relationships. Want to see kids become friends fairly quickly? Put them together needing to achieve a common goal in something both are genuinely interested in. This could be as specific as two boys on a baseball team who love the sport to two little girls who share a passion for makeup, trying to make themselves look like their favorite princesses. Or two political activists working together making signs for candidates they both really think are going to make a difference. And this is what I believe religion is. Religion, as I conceptualize it, is the metagame or the big game. It is the biggest game of all, the biggest game that it's possible to play. Now again, I am defining games as social human interactions in pursuit of a goal or purpose. But obviously, not all games hold the same significance or importance because they don't pursue goals or ends that are similarly important. So what is the highest and most important game? However a person answers that question exposes what I call their religion. This being the narrative they tell that frames the ultimate purpose of their behavior in relation to other people. The biggest game of them all. You can quickly see how religion can create extremely deep bonds between communities of people as they share the same overarching goal and purpose. As Latter-day Saints, we see this common purpose as the building of Zion as the kingdom of God on earth. Now, a lot can be said about this, but here are some of the main aspects of this paradigm that I hope you remember about relationships. Number one, the primary cause of many personal and social ills is a lack of connection with others. Number two is that the lack of connection with others is usually caused either by not having a meaningful game to play or not having others to play that game with. Number three, the key to finding connection and thus fulfillment is finding meaningful games to play and to play them with others who also find them meaningful. Number four, meaningful games, usually, if not always, require some significant degree of personal sacrifice. Number five, nihilism is what emerges when you lose interest in any games because you feel like they all are ultimately meaningless. And number six, a person's religion is the game that they believe to be the most important or meaningful game that can be played. So, what games are you playing? Are they meaningful? What is the biggest game of them all? I think how you answer these questions will help expose a lot about why you and other people are or are not happy. Anyway, this is a paradigm of mine that I'm still sort of developing, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear them. So do you enjoy the content here on Thoughtful Faith? If so, be sure to hit the notification bell. This ensures that our new videos show up on your feed. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook group called Thoughtful Saints, where myself and others discuss the sorts of topics found on this channel. And lastly, if you think other people would benefit from this video, please be sure to share it.